Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender in Europe, game designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. This is the continuation of the C.U.C.U campaign, C.U.C.U, which stands for Cripple UK, Collapse USSR. My opponent has played it fairly well, and both of those conditions have happened. The British are crippled in having lost the Middle East and all the way to Basra and Kuwait, and the USSR collapsed in June of 1942. We are getting ready to play this. Oh, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Gen608. If you like my videos, please hit the subscribe button or hit the like button. If you really like them, then you can hit the subscribe button and you'll get notified. Hit the little notification button thingy, and you'll get notified anytime I'm uploading another video on this game and or others. There has been quite a bit of a hiatus between the last time I posted something and this one. Real life just kind of got in the way for both of us. So now we're trying to catch back up. We are getting ready to go into turn August of 1942. And we'll just go ahead and get started here. We were checking out the Diplomacy Cup to make sure we knew what was in there. Basically, it was 3 no events and a political success. So, and let's get that off the screen. I think the next thing we're going to do, there's no declarations of war. We've only got like 1 or 2 countries left. Or maybe 3, I don't know. Let's take a quick look at who's ally. What do we have left? We have Ireland, French North Africa, Portugal, the Netherlands, and Sweden. That's right, he never conquered the Netherlands. So, there are a few countries to be declared war on, but neither one of us felt like it was time to do that. So now we move into the economy phase. British are all the way up to 18, which, is a lot lower than they should be. But that's what happens when you lose the Middle East, because there's 2 factories there. The Russians are at 15 because they only count their number of factories. They don't get to double them because they're under the Moscow Treaty. And the Germans are up to 30. 30, 15, minus 1 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Yeah, so they're up to 30 right now. And then all of his minor allies, Italy, Spain, Turkey, and so on. So now we go into strategic warfare phase. He is... Oh yeah, there's only... the strategic warfare is only against the West because the Soviets aren't in. He is +5 because he does not have... currently, he does not have a... doesn't have something. He has an airplane, too. Should be a +6. I don't know why he's not a +6. I don't know why he's... Is that not an airplane up here? Oh, no airplane. It's just he doesn't have an airplane in Norway, so he's +5 to my +4 because I got a couple bombed markers last turn. So they got through. So +5 to +4, and I played my partisans. In retrospect, this is probably not the thing to do. The partisans probably would have been far more of a threat to for invasion purposes and things of that nature. So this was probably a mistake. But I'm just trying to, rather than trying to get him down, if you notice over here on the tracks, I'm at 4 lost factories with only 7 owned, so that gives me an extra 3 factories worth of production. And what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to get the British to get the maximum production so I can actually do things with them. Because it's very disheartening when you want to do something, but you don't have the production points to do it. So he rolled a 2 + 7, or 2 + 5 is a 7, half down to a 4. I rolled a 9, so a 4 to a 9 is I chip him a factory. And we're down 1, and the Russian factory lost marker shouldn't be there. I think I have the wrong thing on the chart. Yes, I do. Let me do this real quick. The factory loss marker is supposed to be over there. The factory count marker is supposed to be on there. So I'll have to fix that and save the game. So now I think we're on to strategic warfare. Or no, now I have to. And you notice I rolled a 6 for my partisans, so they're not going to come back in for 6 months. So not until 1943. So now he's got strategic movement, and I think he brings another panzer down here because he wants to take on Gibraltar before I can do anything about it. I mean, he has like a whole year and more to take care of Gibraltar, so odds are he's probably going to be able to pull it off. And then all I'm doing with the Russians is just saving a production point by, moving guys to the front line, opening up cities where those armored units are, so I can build things right behind them. And now we're into his actions phase. He brings a German aircraft that was up here in. Oh, where was it starting? It started in Cherbourg, I believe. Yeah, it starts in Cherbourg. So he brings it down here, and I showed him, you can just do this for range, so you can get where you want it to go. And he goes, I'm going to put it on the coast to try and mess with your supply. I'm like, okay. And then he took this airplane and put him down in Barcelona and moved him on over to there. So he's got aircraft within range of Gibraltar to try and knock me out of supply, because then it becomes easier to take. And he's doing an assault here. Got rid of those things. So he's assaulting with the Panzer as the primaries, you saw me flash, and the Spanish. So that gives him 4, and I'm isolated because Tangiers has got his Spanish, so I have no retreat route. So he is 4, 5, 6, 7. -1 for the city. I think he's going to be throwing in. I don't know if he's going to be doing. I don't know if he counter-aired me or if he just let it go. Here, what are we doing? Oh, combat commitment. Yeah. It was like, I committed and he did not, which I found interesting. So, maybe he's doing it with 3 guys. Yeah, I think he's doing it with another guy, and I think his thing was, if he managed to get lucky and flip me, then he would go a whole hog to try and get to this convoy and knock me out of supply. Take my fleet out so that he could intercept the convoy and keep me out of supply. I think that was his thought process there. Not 100% sure. So it's the BEF here, or what is this? It's the Western Desert Force, so it's like, yeah, got to throw tanks. Going to throw in my aircraft. He rolled a 2 + 7 is a 9, half down to a 5. I rolled a 9, so that stopped that. He went ahead and tried to move the German convoy, and I said, go ahead. And he said, okay, I'm going over to Königsberg. He moves an infantry unit to Königsberg, so he's going to be shipping someone out of the east to the west using his navy, I guess. And now I think we're just... Yeah, he's just starting to, he's getting a few guys to the line. And I think we overcounted here, and in the end, we yeah, he deleted instead of activated a unit there. This is Turks. He went ahead and moved his Finn. I think now we were starting to do. I brought the Italian. He was talking about maybe putting an extra Spaniard there to prevent, Tangiers or whatever, and I'm like, well, it's not going to be isolated because it's adjacent to Gibraltar, so it wouldn't help in a counterattack. Unless you have like French North Africa where you can get 2 units on the hex, it really wouldn't matter. So that was the supply subphase, and then a little bit later you're going to see us give him back. If you look at his points, he's at 18 and he really needed to be at 20. And I wasn't really paying attention to the fact that he needed to have 20 to be able to get into diplomacy phase. So we're going to actually take back one of his armored moves here in a little bit when we get down to like diplomacy phase. One of the things you can do when you're playing on Vassal is you can take things back like that when it's like, oh, we didn't count right. When you're playing on the board game arena version, there's no taking it back once you pass it on to the next player's turn. It's just too late. So I flew this RAF guy down to Cardiff, and then I said, let's get rid of this this German aircraft out here. So I'm attacking from here, Cardiff, into Brest. And I rolled a 5, -2 is a 3. He rolled a 4, -2 is a 2. So we each took 1. Then I went again, and I rolled a 5, -3 is a 2. And if he'd have rolled a 6, he'd have done 2 sorties on me, but he didn't. So I take a sortie, he takes a sortie. I move this convoy over here to get the 5th task force. He was sitting there, so I'm like, we're going to move the 5th task force, go into the North Atlantic. We go into Sea Zone 1, so that's 4. And then we drop them in there, come out here. Now I only have 5 movement points left. So I go back in here for 3. Now I have 2 left. And I go into the North Atlantic. So now, even if he intercepts me with his surface action, I'm going to end up in Plymouth, which is where I want to be anyway. So he's like, okay, well, that's not going to make a difference. So go ahead. I said, all right. That was all one naval move from Eastern North America, North Atlantic to, what is that called up here? Sea Zone 1. I guess that's the Faroes? Gap? The Clyde? I'm not sure. Dropped him off in Glasgow, got back out, went back into the North Atlantic and came back, or the North Atlantic Ocean, and then went back into the North Atlantic Sea Zone 7 and landed at Plymouth. And you'll see why in just a second. Because the next thing I do, we're at 0 to 0. What the heck am I doing? Maybe I'm down here. Yeah. So I'm attacking. I believe I'm using this airplane against this airplane. I took 2 and he took 1, so I tried again. I got a 3, he got a 4. And then I think I said, that's as good as I'm going to get. So Medfleet came out. He said, no, I'm not going to intercept. I went here. He said, no, I'm not going to intercept. I said, here. He says, no, I'm not going to intercept. I go here. He goes, no, I'm not going to intercept. And I go there. So each of them have 2 sorties sitting in Plymouth. Now, here's another trick, because I bring Fighter Command that was up guarding Edinburgh. I bring it down to Plymouth. And then I place a surprise attack marker in Sea Zone 16. And I say, okay, here, this whole entire stack is basically moving into Sea Zone 7. The BEF is activating to be going on an amphibious invasion with the convoy. So Convoy 2 is carrying him. Medfleet is escorting him, and so is Fighter Command. So at least in Sea Zone 7, where I don't have the surprise attack marker, I have like 2 layers of stuff. And he says, nope, I'm not gonna bother. And he didn't do anything. I don't know if did he try to. I had to declare my invasion hex. So I could invade there or there. I said, I'm declaring Tangier. He said, okay, now's time for me to come and get you. He brings out his surface action marker. If he had had subs, he could have played that here too, because it's a surface battle. So he's at +1, and I'm at +1 because of the surprise attack marker. Normally I'm +2 for the British, +1 for the surprise attack marker, but I'm -2 for my sortie. So I'm a +1, and he's a +1. And we were discussing that by the rule, the airplane has to be on C-zone that can reach the hex. So the guy sitting inland can't intercept at at least I think that's the way it's written. Can't intercept the invasion port, but this one right here can. So anyway, we're setting the die roll modifiers, and then he attacks. He got a 6. He's like, I did my part. Then I rolled a 6 + 1, 7. So he takes 2 sorties. You come back in 2 turns, October. And then he went with his airplane, and then I was +3, -3 for sortie, so I'm at 0. And he is normally he's +2 for German, +1 because he's attacking a ship, so he's +3, but -4 for sorties. So he's a -1, and I'm a 0. He rolled a 2, -1 is a 1, so he can't hurt me. I rolled a 5, which means I gave him 2 sorties, which was kind of nice because then I didn't have to worry about him interfering with my supply. And I took a sortie because I had to fight the combat. Then we do the invasion. So I throw a tanks with him, so I'm 1 for British, 2 for tanks, that's 3. 4, 5 for the fleet support. And then I believe I throw in an airplane here as well. Oh, I started to, and I said, wait a minute, +3 to -4 because he's in low supply. I'm guaranteed at -4, the best he's going to get a 2, and at +4, the worst I'm going to get is a 4. So this is kind of like the Norway situation. I know I'm going to force him to retreat, and so that's what I do. And I rolled a grand total of 6. He rolled 4, -4 is a 1, so that's actually a DD, so that guy got eliminated. And I take Tangier. Tanks goes back there. Did I said, wait a minute, I'm not sure I want to be in that hex. Instead, I went back to Plymouth. And then I brought, since he has nothing to intercept me with, I went ahead and brought another aircraft down here. And then I flew the second RAF that was sitting here in Cardiff. If I just leave it there, he's just going to pound me with his aircraft in Brest. And I'm like, nope, I'm just going to go sit in Edinburgh while I try to replenish myself. And now we're doing bombing run. So he's right at the edge. Metz means he gets to intercept me once. He's at 0. I'm at minus ridiculous. And he rolled a 1, so I got through on that one. And then I said, okay, I'm going in here. You want to come after me? He says, nope. And then, as our convention is, we just kind of stack the bombs off of cities once we're done with bombing. So that if he wants to build in a city or whatever, he doesn't have to go through the bombed markers. We don't have to search to see how many I actually have. We just have a stack of them in central Germany. And then that was the end of that. We had forgotten in his supply phase to mark this guy with a no supply. And so I just went ahead and did supply. I ran up the British by 1 and the Americans by 3 because the Americans are free to, they don't cost me actual British production points to do things. Okay, and then this now keeps Gibraltar from being isolated, so it has a little better chance. Sooner or later, he's going to be able to get it out of supply by knocking out the convoys in both hexes. Once he does that, then Gibraltar probably will fall, but it's going to be harder to do now. It's going to take more resources and tie him up for most of 43, so he doesn't think about doing other things, is the idea. And then now his Russians just go, charge! Ding, 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 ding. Just charging Russians towards the front because they don't have anything else better to do. And we stop at 5. And this is where when we got here, we were like, oh, wait a minute. So you see this Panzer that had moved down into Poland. We put him back and gave him back the 2 points. Because it was just us not paying attention. Because he was depending on me to stop him when he was supposed to be stopped, and I didn't. So he's replenishing his aircraft. And his convoy, I believe that was the other spend here. Yeah, brought his convoy back down. And now he has 5 left. And then the Italians do their thing, get back their convoys, their airplane. We're going to the Western. This is a little bit trickier for me because I only have 16 points left. So I'm not really sure exactly what I did here. Let's see, I did fleet, convoy, this is 10. I think I did both airplanes. Yeah, it was 4 and 9. Because there's a convoy, two fighters, and a fleet is 13. And then up here, I just said, well, I can't really afford to do bomber command, so I think I just did either a convoy or a fighter. Did I do the fighter up here? Yeah, I just brought down the fighter because I couldn't afford to do the bomber and keep the guys around Gibraltar in supply. That's part of my problem. Again, losing the Middle East really crunches the British for production points. However, next turn I will have 4 plus 6 is 10, so I have like 20 next turn. So we go through the upgrades. Russians chose not to. Axis mobilization, he didn't. And then the Americans get their convoy and their fighter. And Soviets didn't do anything because we wanted to save money for diplomacy, which is where we're at now. And the Axis went ahead and spent 5. He says, I'm going to pull. He got a no event. I said, oh, okay. So then the Allies pull, United States, and we get a no event. And now here's a funny little trick I tried. If you look around on the map, just give you a quick idea of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I actually have a pro marker in Amsterdam, which is the Netherlands, and I also have a pro marker over here in French North Africa, although it's only a 1 in 6 that I'll see the French North African army, but it would give me ports in the Med all of a sudden that I could possibly use to annoy the Italians. So what I did with the Soviets is a little bit different. I spent my 5 with the Soviets. Maybe. Hello. Lost focus there. And I put in a political success, and then I have to put in a no event. So now there's 2 political successes and 2 no events. 50-50 chance he gets a pro marker. Don't know what he'll do with his. He can either activate Sweden or take out one of my pro markers. But if he pulls a no event, then I have a 2/3 chance of getting a political success and trying to do something with the West. So that's what that silliness is all about. Okay? So that's why I did it, to give some idea of why I did what I did. And we go to end of turn phase. This is just us getting stuff off the track. What happened here? Not sure what we get off the track here. So bring this up here, and the Germans get back their ground support because they aren't really using anything. So I got my British tanks back. Oh, I got a Urals factory for the Russians, so their factory count went up by 1. I got an Ultra for the for the West, so I'll have something to do there. I'll have a fleet to build for the West, and I do get an upgrade marker, so the Western Desert Force will be available. We go into September, we know what the weather is, so we don't have to do weather phase. National trends, I probably should just leave these up. And we went ahead and moved forward here. No one declared war, doing the economies again. We're about where we usually are. So the British are all the way up to 20 now, and the Russians are up to 16 because they picked up a Urals factory. And then strategic warfare against the West. Again, it's that +5 to my +4. And yes, I played my Ultra to have him again. Again, it's nice if I can chip him another factory or something. And that was something that we missed here, is I gave him 30 and he should only have 28. I think I correct that in a minute. So he rolled a 3 + 5 is a 4. It's 8, half down to a 4. Yeah, and I reset his production at this point, realizing that he was off because I'd actually gotten a factory last turn. And then I rolled a 4 + 4, which was an 8, so I actually chipped him up another factory. So it's like, ooh, doing good here. And the British are down to only 2 lost factories. They can only get 1 lower. So I'm slowly but surely increasing the British production, but it's still, without the extra 2 factories, it's not enough to be completely offensive. It's very limited offensive capabilities that I'm able to do. Plus, I don't have a lot of ground troops to do anything with. Where are we at? Oh, and then I have to roll for the Ultra. It comes back in 4 turns. Not quite as bad as the last one, but still, it's going to be quite a while before I get my, as he calls them, my gadgets. And then I think we go into strategic movement for the Axis. And what he did is he had a low supply German way the heck up here in Ankara. And he said, we're going to go over here, getting ready for the British to bring in French North Africa, just in case you actually get the units. He's going to have a real army over here, not just the Italians. He's going to have both. So he's going to have, the capability of stopping me from doing anything and probably just punching through and taking French North Africa from me. And if I don't get the units, he probably can get, to Gabe's and maybe even as far as Tunis before I can get anything really over there to do anything. So, take the strategic move marker, put it over there. Western Allies moved this guy, the 5th, from Glasgow. I went ahead and put him in Plymouth, so I, get him ready to move in to do more reinforcements of the British or whatever. And then again, I'm just saving production points for the Russians by moving armored out of the cities and into blank hexes. And now we're into operations for the Axis. So first thing, of course, boom, down comes the paradroup on my guy in Gibraltar. It's not isolated because I have guys there. And I'm not sure exactly, I think he's trying to think of what I'm sitting at. So I think he's doing aircraft, right? Yeah, he's +2 to my -2 for I can't remember which aircraft he was going for, Tangiers or the other one. Whatever it was, he ended up getting 2 sorties on it, so it was the one in Tangiers. And then he went, so now he's a +1, and he went for this guy who's, -2. Actually, I'm -4 because I have the airdrop marker on me. And so he gets a 6 to a 1, which is 3 sorties on that one. And he goes, okay, let's go do that last guy. I couldn't hurt him, so it was just 1 sortie each. So now he's like, okay, no aircraft. So he's got that going for him. So he's got the Panzer attacking, and I think he just used 1 Spaniard. Yeah, and 1 Spaniard. So he was 4 + 2 for isolation is 6. +1 for the Spaniard is 7, -1. I'm starting off at a -1. We go to combat commitment, which is kind of like, do we really need to do this? Like, I'm not going to commit the tank marker. And he's like, yeah, good point. So he throws that airplane in. I, of course, throw my tanks marker in wherever it is. There we go. And then he could have thrown in the heavy artillery, I think, at this point. But he chose not to. So he's, and then he threw in a ground support, make him to be up to net +7. He's like, well, the heavy artillery can make me +9. And I said, well, if you're throwing ground support, I'm throwing my free forces marker, so now I'm up to +2. And I think he decided, yeah, then he said, okay, then I'm going to throw my heavy artillery. So he's +9 to +2, but he's halved. So the best he can get is an 8 if he rolls a 6. Because that would be 15 halved to 7 half rolls up to an 8. And I'm at a +2, so it would take like a 6-1 split for me to be flipped. In that case, so we're just going to have to see how this goes. And he rolled a 1. So a grand total of 10, half down to a 5. And at +2, if I roll a 1, he gets me flipped. I did not roll a 1, I rolled a 7. So 5 to a 7 doesn't do anything to me. And then he moves out that guy, and it's like, well, you know, we need to get these things off the board. So he rolled the heavy artillery for 4, ground support for 2. I rolled my free forces for 5. Don't know why we're not taking them off the board. There we go. And then he just attacked with the tank, I think. Ran his fighter up to 5 sorties so that he'd be 4, 6, 7, 8, -1. He's +7 and halved. He's only +5. He's 4. Oh, he doesn't get the +2 for isolation. That's right. So he's 4, 5, 6, 5. The other one was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, -1. Okay. That's right. He doesn't get isolation bonus anymore because I have Tangiers. So he rolled a 6. Again, another 1. So he's half down to a 3. I rolled a 2 + 1 is a 3. So stop this for this time around. I think he put the convoy. He had the guy bring an infantry unit because he's in our BGA game. He didn't defend Norway hardly at all, and I was able to pull off an Operation Polar Glory. So I think I've got him paranoid now that I'm going to pull off a northern invasion or something. And then he's just like, let's get the Yugoslavs over there. Let's get the Italians moving into France to help defend France. He's supplying here. He supplied the infantry unit over in on the French North African border, and he supplies the infantry unit in Suez and the infantry unit in Basra and his airplane. And then we go into Western Action subphase, which is really a whole lot of nothing, I think. Oh, and this was his die roll for the paratrooper. And he rolled a 6, so it's gone. So that was very unfortunate for him. He did get to use it. I don't know, I'd have to go back and review the logs. But I'm pretty sure, I know he used it in Alexandria. And I think he used it to get Leningrad. So he got like at least 3 uses out of it here, which is usually more than I get. I usually get 1 use and it disappears the first time I use it with a 6. So he got at least 3. We can't remember if it's 3 or if he used it a 4th time someplace to take something. But we know he had at least 3 uses out of it. So that's pretty good. So I'm bringing the convoy's going ahead and bringing the American fighter, and just going to drop it in Belfast and then go back No, I think I just left it there because I don't have anything coming for quite some time. What else do we do here? I don't have any bombing. So I think we're just doing some... well, I was doing supply. Oh no, we're doing supply? Yeah, and I think he's trying to interdict me. Okay, he's a -1 to my -1 for the fleet. Yeah. It's the British fleet one that he's trying to interdict. And so I went up to 4 sorties, and why didn't he go up a sortie? He didn't go up a sortie. Or he didn't intercept me that time, maybe. Yeah, I think he chose not to intercept because he was at 4 sorties. It's like, it's not really worth it. Because we never rolled the dice. So, because I was escorting, he said, you can go ahead and have it. And now we're going to see the dance of the Russians here. Again, just like, let's get these guys up on the front line someplace. I don't know where. Move him over there, move him down here, move him down there. Charge out of the north. Is that it? I think that was it. And so we're on to replacements. Nobody's going to take anything off in the no supply phase. The Axis are like, let me get my airplanes back. And of course the Italian fleets. Then we go into the Western phase, and so there's, we've gone through this before, there's 3, 6, 12, 16 down here? No. 3, 6, 9, 13 in the Med. And then I brought up Bomber Command and took down the fighter as well. So Bomber Command and the fighter, and that was my last 6 points. Soviets didn't have anything because they're going to want to be in diplomacy again. And upgrades, nobody did any upgrade. Oh, the British said, yay! The Western Desert Force has served its function for long enough. We are now making it the 8th Army. So now you see the 8th Armies here. So now we'll see if Monty with his 8th Army can hold on to Gibraltar. Probably not, but hey. The fact that he doesn't have the paratrooper anymore makes this even more imperative that he gets me out of supply so that he can get the -2 from the out of supply, and then the assaults have a chance of working in that multiple assault type thing. What does Sal call it? Rolling assault, he calls it. I call it a wave assault because that's what it feels like, but he calls it a rolling assault. And then he built an Italian, and Soviets didn't do anything. So we're in diplomacy again. So Germans still have their 5, so they go, spend my 5, and I'm clicking on the wrong things. There we go. And he pulls. Oh no, we pulled us out to make sure it's 50-50. It's like, yep, okay, I'm going to pull. No event. I said, you could be really stinky and throw a political failure in there, and that's one less thing. Just quit pulling and just make it my life miserable. He's like, no, I want to try and get a political success. He's thinking of either getting Sweden or stopping some of mine. And he says, no event. I said, okay, I've got a 2/3 chance of getting a political success here. And I pulled one. Yay! So the West has a political success. And what they do, after much deliberation, believe it or not, we talked about this. I'm like, well, I could activate the Netherlands to force you to, conquer it, which wouldn't be a problem. I mean, he'd just walk through it. So he could conquer it with no problem. and that would take him up to, if you look at his card, he has 9 conquered countries. That'd take him up to 10, but that's not going to come into effect until 1944, essentially, end of 43 at the best, December 43, when he's facing the Soviets. So it really doesn't help the West to bring that up right now. The other thing I could do is I take my 1 in 6 shot of getting French North Africa, but I really don't have a lot of extra troops. I don't have the fleet capability, really, to get, like, the American troops into someplace useful in Algiers or whatever this turn. So we talked about it a bit, and I said, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make Ireland pro. And the reason why is because if I activate Ireland, yeah, the Irish troops aren't allowed to leave the country, which, okay, fine. But it gives me Cork. And Cork is, on Sea Zone 7, which means I have 2 ports now that can reach Sea Zone 8 or Sea Zone 16, depending on what I need to do as far as, like, invasions. Plus, from Cork, you can still invade to Sea Zone 10 because it's 2 sea zones. You got Plymouth, which can get to Sea Zone 8. Cork can get to Sea Zone 8, which means you could actually do, like, a Bordeaux-Nantes invasion possibility. So now he has to think about all these things. And that's the idea, is to make the Germans not really understand exactly where you're going to land. Because you can always, like, shift your fleet, take the sortie on it, and then hit the place where he isn't. So that's the general idea here, is to kind of just mess with his brain. Okay. So that was that. I'm going to bring up the Diplomacy Cup again. And then, having seen the no event and the political success come out again, with the Soviets, I said, it worked last time. Let's do it again. Because this time, the British probably will activate something if they pull a pro marker. Because they'll have the ability, they'll have the fleets and things to move stuff in the following turn. So, and then that was diplomacy. Now I think we're going to be doing this part. Yeah, go to end of turn phase. He gets his surface action back. He gets his submarines back. And he gets an armor to build, which made him very happy. I get back my 2 tanks markers, which I actually don't need to use now until he gets to Tangiers. And the Americans get a surprise attack marker, which is one of the reasons why I put that guy in Plymouth, because he now threatens to possibly be able to, with a naval shift, to be able to go and bang somewhere on the French coast or the Spanish coast. Again, makes him have to think about what's he going to do. Admittedly, there's a whole year here that he can just fix whatever I try to break. But the fact that he has to deal with it, and we're going into October, which is the beginning of poor weather, it may be that in 1943 I will have enough gadgets back that I can actually set up maybe even a threat to take on Suez or Basra or something like that. So again, it's just trying to make sure that he doesn't have an easy time of defending Europe. Trying to be able to hit him from multiple places. And I think the last thing we do is the weather. We were just talking about, let's just stop here, and I'm like, no, let's finish this. I mean, we always start off with the weather known, so you can look at the game and go, oh, it's this side. I'm not gonna bother doing that or whatever. So he rolled a 1, a 1, and a 5, which is great if you're gonna do invasions for me, because the cold zone is, if you look on the October line, a 1 is fair. A 1 in the mild zone is fair. And then he rolled a 5 for the warm zone, which makes it poor, which makes it harder for him to get into Gibraltar. And the aircraft aren't quite as superior because of the poor weather. And, he has some threats possibly coming at him from Europe. And the nice thing is that I now know in November, because it was fair in November, I know it's going to be poor or severe in the cold zone. I know it's going to be poor or severe in the mild zone. And I'm not sure. It's a 1/3 chance that he'll get poor in the warm zone. So he's got a 1/3 chance he'll get fair. So he still has a chance to get a fair weather turn in before he gets down to the 1 and 6s for the winter. But so hopefully I can hold on here. So I think we go here. And then that's the end of the log file. So we're done with 2 turns. So that's basically the summer of 42. After the collapse of the USSR, the Russian army is racing towards the front. The German army is more or less in its general locations where they want to end up. He's going to be saving production points now. He still has his surprise attack marker. So he has that for doing counterattacks. If the West tries to come ashore someplace, he can always use that for that. He might even use it to try and take out Gibraltar. I don't know if the +1 is worth it or not. But, he has options. And so do I. So, there you have it. That is the C.U.C.U campaign. Turn August and September of 1942. As always, I'm Dren608. If you like my videos, please hit the thumbs up button. It helps the algorithms in YouTube to get this out there for other people to see. If you really like what I'm doing, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, then you'll be notified anytime I upload something else, either for Unconditional Surrender or for other games. I mean, you can have yourself notified whenever I upload anything. I am looking into trying to do live streams of sessions, whether it's through the Vasta session or Board Game Arena sessions. I'm having struggles trying to get the live streaming software to work on my machine. I think I'm just a little bit outdated for what I've got. So that may take a while until I figure all that out. Other than that, until we meet again, stay safe. Bye-bye.